All right, class. We started political parties in the last class. So we have seen what is a political party, right? And what are its components. We have also discussed the various functions which are performed by political parties. Now coming on to necessity. Okay, now see, one reason why do we need political parties can be because we have seen the functions. So because all these functions are performed by political parties, so one reason can be that that's why we need political party. But we still need to ask ourselves why modern democracies cannot exist without political parties. Okay. So first of all, let's imagine a situation. Let's imagine a situation where there is no political party in India. Now, for Lok Sabha election, how many seats are there? How many seats are there for the Lok Sabha elections?
543.
Yes, 543. Now, let's say there is no political party and the elections are conducted for the 543 seats. Now, from every constituency, how many members will be elected? How many members will be elected from every constituency?
One.
Yes, one. So in total, 543 candidates will be elected. And every candidate will be an independent candidate. So these candidates, they are responsible for only their constituencies because they are getting elected from their constituency. So they are only responsible for their constituency. So who will make policies and programs for the whole nation? So no one will be able to make any promise to the people about any major policy changes because all of these 543 MPs or representatives are only responsible for their constituency. So the government may be formed, but its utility will remain uncertain, right? So no one, if anything goes wrong, no one will take the blame. All of them can say that I was responsible only for my constituency. Okay. Next, let's look at the non-party based election. Out here, the case of Panchayat is given. Let's understand this by class elections. Now, let's say we have to choose the class monitor. So the class teacher has chosen two candidates, candidate A and candidate B. So they do not belong to any political party. But again, when the voting will happen, the class will get divided into two factions. One faction will be supporting candidate A, whereas the other faction or group will be supporting candidate B. Right? So this is exactly what the political party do. Right? So let's again look at this. Although the parties do not contest formally in the panchayat, it is generally noticed that the village gets split into more than one faction. each of which put up its panel of candidates. This is exactly what political party does. So that is the reason why we need political parties, or we find political parties in almost all the countries of the world, whether big or small. Right? Third, as we have seen in nationalism in India, that Congress tried to bring all the groups together, different social groups together. Yet, some of those groups felt that Congress was not raising their demand. Which groups were those who felt that Congress was not raising their demand?
Muslims, Dalit, and poor farmers.
Yes. So these social groups formed their own political parties. Did they or did they not?
Yes, sir, we did.
Yes. So similarly, political parties or the rise of political parties is directly linked to the emergence of representative democracies. As you will know that in a large society, there are different social groups. For them, the idea of welfare can be different. So there can be different political parties, right? As societies become large and complex, they need a mechanism to gather different views on various issues and present it to the government. So this is done by the political parties, right? So basically, political parties are a necessity in a representative democracy so that different social groups can be represented in the parliament or in the government. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in a democracy, any number of people or a group of people is free to form a political party. Okay, in the formal sense, you might have heard about some large political parties, but there are more than 750 political parties which are registered with the Election Commission of India. And every year, new political parties are forming, and some are also shutting down. Like they form a political party, they fight in one elections, but they were not successful. So that party gets closed. However, you might have seen that only a few political parties have a chance of winning the elections. Not all the political parties have a chance of winning the elections, yet all of them participate in the process of election. So, how many political parties should be there in a country? Or how many political parties are effective to ensure a good democracy? In some countries, only one party is allowed to control and run the government. As you have seen in class 9th, China, in China, only the Communist Party is allowed to rule. Although, legally speaking, or as per the law, people can form political parties. But as you have studied in class 9th, that they cannot participate in the elections or they cannot form the government. Only the Communist Party of China and its 8 allied parties can contest elections and form the government. Right? So there is no choice for the people. Why one system is not good? We cannot consider one party system as a good option because it is not democratic. Democracy means that people must have choice to accept or reject, as we have studied it in class 9th. Any democratic system must allow at least 2 parties to compete in elections and provide a fair chance for the competing parties to come to the power. Next. So this is called one-party system. Coming on to the two-party system. In some countries, power usually changes between 2 main parties, though other political parties also exist. They can contest election and win a few seats in the legislature, but only 2 main parties have a chance of forming the government or winning majority of the seats which are required to form the government. Such a system is called two-party system. Example, United Kingdom, USA. In USA, the 2 major parties are the Republicans and the Democrats. Okay. However, if several parties compete for power and more than 2 political parties have a chance of winning the election or coming to power either on their own or through an alliance by joining hands with other political parties, so we call it as a multi-party system. Thus, in India, we have a multi-party system. In this system, the government is formed by various parties which come together in an alliance or a coalition. So, when different political parties join hands to contest elections before election, it is called an alliance. Let's say no political party has majority to form government. So in that case, after elections, political parties may join hands or come together to form a government. So that is known as a coalition. So you understand the difference between an alliance or a coalition?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when political parties join hands before elections, it is known as an alliance. And if they join hands or they come together to form the government after the elections, it is known as coalition. Okay. For example, in India, there were 3 major alliances in 2004 elections. The National Democratic Alliance or the NDA, led by BJP, the United Progressive Alliance or the UPA led by Congress, and the third such alliance was Left Front. Now, Left Front is all the left parties. We will study more about left wing political parties in this chapter. Okay. Now, multi-party system can be very messy, and at times it leads to political instability. How does it leads to political instability? Let's say different political parties come together to form the government. Now, due to any conflict, if one party takes back its support from the government, so the no confidence motion will be passed against the government. In that case, the government will fall, right? So, multi-party system can also lead to political instability. However, this system allows a variety of interests of different social groups and opinions to enjoy political representation. Okay? Okay, what do you think? Which political system is better, or which party system is better than the other? Yes? You tell me, which party system is better?
Sir, it depends on the country and its people and history. But for India, I guess multi-party system is better, is the best form of government because there is a lot of diversity in India.
Yes, Manaswini, very good. Now, the best answer to this question, which party system is the best, is that the question is incorrect. Or this is not a very good question. Why is it not a very good question? Because party system is not something that a country chooses. It evolves over a period of time. It evolves over a long time depending on the nature of the society, the diversity it has, the history of politics, the struggle for the freedom that they have gone through, or how they have achieved independence, and the system of elections, right? Which cannot be changed very quickly. So in every country, the party system or the system of election that develops is unique, conditioned by the circumstances that country has gained independence or the constitution has formed, right? Yes, Manasvi, you were right that in India, multi-party system has evolved because of the social as well as geographical diversity. That India is such a huge country that it is not a country, but you can say it's a subcontinent which has many countries in it. And 2 or 3 political parties cannot absorb all the diversity that is present in our country. Yes, we have to remember this, that no system is ideal for all the countries in all the situations. Okay. So now in democracies, which follow a federal system all over the world, have two types of political parties. One, whose presence can be felt throughout the country, and these are called national political parties, where as there are some political parties which are limited to a specific region, so these are called state level parties. Okay. For example, Aam Aadmi Party has its presence in Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, but it does not have its branches in the other states of India. Though it is becoming a force to reckon with, yet it is limited only to a certain area. But if you talk about BJP or Congress, they have their offices and members, or they contest elections in majority of the states. So before election, every party has to register itself with the Election Commission. Now, Election Commission treats all the parties equally. Yet, some of these parties are given some special facilities because they are large and established parties and have been contesting elections for many years. So these parties are given a unique symbol which only the official candidate of that political party can use. Now, the parties which get these facilities are called recognized political parties by the Election Commission. Now, the Election Commission of India has laid down detailed criteria depending upon the proportion of votes and the number of seats that must be won by a party to be recognized as a recognized national party. Now, let's look at the criteria. What is the criteria to be called as a national party or a state party? A party which secures at least 6% of the total votes in the election to the Legislative Assembly, or wins, not or, but and. It should get 6% of the votes, total votes, and at least 2 seats must be won by that political party. So it is called as a state party. Okay. What is the criteria? Abhishek, you tell me, what is the criteria?
सर कि सर एक कौन सा वाला क्राइटेरिया एक बार?
state party to be
सर कि
recognized as a
उनको
state party.
6% सीट्स मिलनी चाहिए?
No, not 6% seats.
सर तो पता नहीं, सॉरी सर.
Manasvi,
Or a party which represents 4 seats in Lok Sabha. So state party.
yes, state party. The criteria for a party to be recognized as a state party.
6% of total votes in elections of the Legislative Assembly, and at least 2 seats
In the Legislative Assembly. Okay. For example, now the elections are going to be held in Punjab and Uttar Pradesh, or maybe they are already happening in Uttar Pradesh in phases, because Uttar Pradesh is a very large state. So to be recognized, let's say all of us in this batch, we form a political party and we want to contest the elections. So first of all, we will have to register ourselves with the Election Commission. Then, as we have studied in class 9th, the steps involved to contest elections, right? In electoral politics, we have studied the steps which are required, or the conditions which are required before contesting elections, that we will have to file our nomination. We'll have to provide an affidavit to the Election Commission of our educational qualification, of our assets, of the criminal cases, if there are any against us. Then a campaign will be held. We'll go to places, we'll do publicity for our political party. Right? And if in that election we won 6% of the votes, of the total votes polled, and won 2 seats, so we will be recognized as a state party. To be recognized as a national party, we will need to secure at least 6% of the total votes in the Lok Sabha elections, or state legislative assembly elections in 4 states. So either we can win 6% of the total votes in the general elections, or the elections which are held in different states. So we need to secure 6% of the total votes polled in 4 different states, and at least 4 seats need to be won by us in the Lok Sabha to be recognized as a national party. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's look at this cartoon. Now crunching the numbers. Okay. 27% of the Canadians, now this is about Canada or the politics in Canada. 27% of the Canadians think that the Liberals should be in the power, whereas 35% think that the Conservatives deserve a chance, and this time the Conservatives should be elected to the power. However, the funny thing is that 98% of the Canadians agree that all politicians should be locked in the trunk of a 82 Yugo going over Niagara Falls, or they should be pushed in the Niagara Falls. Okay. So according to the classification that we have studied, so there can be a question, write down the criteria laid down by the Election Commission to be recognized as a state party or a national party, or it can come together, write down the criteria of the Election Commission to be recognized as a state and national party, or differentiate between a state party and a national party. Okay, so you will write down the criteria. Now, according to this classification, now this is an older version of NCERT, but if you will go through your new version or new print, you will see that there are 7 national parties in India. How many national parties?
7.
7, yes. All India Trinamool Congress was the latest addition to the list of national parties in India. Okay. Now, who is the leader of the Trinamool Congress?
Mamata Banerjee.
Yes, popularly also known as what is the nickname used for Mamata Banerjee? Abhishek?
Sir, can you repeat, sir?
What is the popular name used for Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal?
Mamata Banerjee, sir.
Yes.
Don't know, sir.
Okay. Shalu ma'am, can you stop recording?